I was living in San Francisco and commuting back and forth to Sonoma. Those early days were a slog. It was a lot of miles, and those early mornings and during harvest were they're not for the faint of heart. And I think that you know most people see that end product. They don't really realize what goes into that bottle of wine. Growing up in Sonoma, a lot of industry contacts. So what I had were great mentors, people who were willing to help teach the ways of winemaking and how to best navigate the wine business. Um, it's a very difficult business, so I think people who gravitate towards it tend to stick together to try to help each other out. Um, you know, we were, I wouldn't say we were one of the earlier ones, but like to my knowledge at that time, we were, a brand without a vineyard, right? And that there weren't, not everyone had the ability to have their own wine brand, even in back in like '07, '08. You had to kind of build it all yourself. Nowadays, there's platforms and, you know, white label companies and people that will make bottles of wine for you. But back then, you really had to kind of do it yourself. Um, so there was a huge learning curve in the early days of the wine industry for my early days, I should say, not the early days. It's been around a long time. It was like our parents' generation, the boomers or their grandparents who had started it. So it was like in the mid aughts, the third generation of like American wine families were starting to come to fruition with new brands associated with family, not associated with family. And so for us, it was like we were starting to ride this wave of like this new millennial winemaker of sorts, and we capitalized on that. It was a big part of our brand story and our mission that we were kind of like going to do things different than our parents did, even though my parents weren't in the business, but it was a big part of our product positioning.